Good morning. Good morning. Oh my God. Good morning. I have just found different ways of doing this. Good morning. Today we are talking about how do you listen to your podcasts? How do you listen to your podcasts? Do you like listening to podcasts? That's my first question today. Do you really enjoy this moment? If you don't worry. We'll find something for you to do. What I usually say to my students is first thing, priorities. Go get your coffee, go get your water. I have everything here. It's all set for us today, this morning. Now let's get started. Cheers. Now let's get started. I like a lot listening to podcasts. I really like it. So that's something I really do. I always do it. Now I'm green. I don't like it. This light's better, right? I really like listening to podcasts. That's something I really like to do. I also like studying on books. I also like watching movies, series. These are a lot of things that I really like to do in English. Something important for you as a student, as a learner, is to find something that you really like to do. Okay? Yeah, I think it's better. I'm always changing things here, resetting my equipment so that I have the better. You have the better view, sound. Okay, good. Remember to send this live to your friends if you think the information here is meaningful. Okay. Also, remember that in a few minutes, my dogs will be barking because this is real life. So, dogs bark in real life. Listening to podcasts, let's go. Do you like it? Because I really like it. And it's necessary, it's important, it's absolutely mandatory for you in your life to do what you like to do. But in English, that's something we have to do. If you like to watch movies, if you like to watch series, do it in English, obviously. So, podcasts, tell me, drop a comment here. How do you like to listen to your podcast? How do you do it? Do you just play them and you start listening and woo, traveling? Or do you sit down, take your notes, new vocabulary? How do you like to listen to your podcast? How do you do it? How many ways are there for you to listen to podcasts? How many ways are there? It's just a podcast. How many ways are there? Let's go step by step. Okay? First one. Do you have time or do you not have time? This is the most important, okay? Because if you like listening to podcasts but you don't have time, you have to find a way of putting it there in your schedule in a way that you can actually listen to something to practice your listening skills. Okay, so when I don't have time first, when I don't have time to really sit down and practice. Yes, I'm a teacher. Yes, I practice. Yes, I study. Obviously, I have to. We need to keep developing our language skills, any skills. I like to study everything. So I put all of these in English and I study something with English. For example, I like to study, I like to listen to serial killers podcasts. Don't judge me, please. I really like to listen to serial killers podcasts. And when I am, for example, doing the dishes or cleaning the house, sometimes I like to listen to that. listening to this, to just to listen. Okay, this is really important for us to like a ear workout, we listen and we practice. This is something really nice. When I don't have the time, I like to listen to something as I do something else. Okay, this is really nice. So, for example, if you don't clean your house, you don't do the dishes, but you drive to work all by yourself, find something that you like to listen to in the car. Find some podcast that you like to listen to in the car, or the news, or some different kind of music, some song you are trying to some band you are getting to know, something. Okay, so first one, in the car as you drive. Okay, or as you are doing other things. What are some things that you like to do or that you have to do, and you like to listen to something like a podcast or music or something? What are the things that you do and you like to listen to something as you are doing it? Like me, I like to clean the house listening to a podcast. I take my daily doses of entrepreneurship also when I am doing these things, as I do stuff. When I'm cooking, for example, what are the things that you like to do, that you like to listen to a podcast as you are doing them? Okay, that's my first question for you. Why? Because as you do something that you like together with English, good for you, more practice. All right. Now let's think about the perfect world, the ideal world, the world in which you have the time to sit down, take a pen, a notebook, and take notes. Let's think about this perfect world, okay? Because sometimes we can do that. How do you practice your active listening? Because when you are doing other things and listening to a podcast, you're practicing your passive listening. You're just listening. Maybe sometimes you're not going to pay attention. When I am doing this, I usually have to I think, oh, what happened? Why did he go to jail? How did they get him? Remember the serial killers podcast that I listened to? I have to go back a little bit. I have to repeat, listen again. So this is passive listening. Passive. How do you practice your active listening? You can sit down, listen, watch. There are lots of podcasts on YouTube today. You can watch them. I had one student asked me a question yesterday. Alessandra, do you think it's better to listen and watch with captions or without captions? What do you think? That's a very good question. Many people say, "Oh, listen to something in English and read the captions in English too." That's a very good idea. But, let me sit here better on my chair. The point is, when you are talking to real people in the real world, people don't come with captions. No. Yes, that's real. People don't you don't press their nose and there is here what they are saying. No, that's not what happens. So when you are practicing, when you are listening to a podcast, for example, in which people are talking and one person speaking or more people talking to each other, it's important for you to practice your listening skills, not your reading skills. When you are reading, when you are watching on YouTube, for example, or on Instagram, you are reading. No, it's not true, Alessandra. I pay attention to what I'm listening. No, you don't. You don't. our eyes go to the words and we only pay attention to what we are reading. That's real. That's a fact. It's not something that we can really control unless you cover cover the words. You are going to pay attention to the words and you are not going to be listening. This is not listening practice. This is reading practice. If you want to practice your reading, okay, go for it. Watch a podcast and read the captions. That's okay. That's enough. But if you are going to practice your listening skills, you need to practice your listening skills. The less captions, the better for you, because your brain will pay attention, will make more effort to pay attention to what you are listening to. This is different from reading, okay? It's all input, but it's different ways. Many people have the reading skills much better than the listening skills because we don't practice the listening. When we watch a movie, we have the captions. When we watch videos on YouTube, on Reels, on Instagram, TikTok, everything, you don't listen, you read. Believe me. Okay? So if you have the time, you can sit down, pay attention to what you're listening to, and take notes. Take notes of new words, new expressions that you think you might be able to be using in your life. Okay? Many times I listen to interesting expressions that could be used in real life. Many times I listen to them and I take notes. I do. I have a file, a document on my cell phone and computer on Google that anywhere I am, I can take notes of these words and expressions. I do this. It's good for me. Some time ago, I had a small notebook that I used to take notes there. It's also valid. It's very useful. Every time you need to remember the word, remember the expression, it's there. So you just, oh, I remember this word. You check it from time to time to see the expressions you have learned. So yesterday, talking to a student, he told me this question about the captions, and I said, no, avoid captions. It's better for you. And depending on your level, remember here I'm talking to you who understand a little bit more because you can understand me right now. So I'm talking to you. I'm not talking to a person who is a beginner, a real beginner, people who don't understand a word in English. For them, it's going to be hard just to listen to a podcast all in English. It's harder. There are podcasts for people who are beginning, okay? But I'm not talking to them right now. I'm talking to you. You know, you speak some English and you can do this, okay? It's possible. Probably the first times it's going to be harder for you to understand a little better, to understand everything. Probably. Maybe not. Depending on the kind of podcast you take, depending on the kind of podcast you are listening to. My list, I like listening to podcasts about serial killers. I think this is the only one that I have in English. Serial killers, female killers. Oh my God. If I check here my playlist, it's there is one named Partners in Crime, Female Criminals, Serial Killers, and music, and a lot of music. So this is what I like to listen to. Okay, this is the kind of vocabulary I like to. I already know some of it. Okay, the let's remember what else you have to do. Sit down, take your notes. If you have the time to sit down and listen to your podcast, this is perfect. This is really nice because you can take notes. Okay. Oh, I don't understand a part of it. My student asked me this yesterday. Oh, sometimes I don't understand some excerpts. It's okay. You don't have to read all of it. You have to read that part. So what do? You go back a little bit, start the captions, play, listen, read. This is what they said. Okay, good. Then you turn off the captions and you keep watching it, or you keep listening to it. This is perfect. This is just the best way for you to do it. Okay, I'm not saying this is the only correct way. I'm just saying that this is the best way for you to really practice your listening skills, really practice your new vocabulary. Okay, take notes of them so that you can remember it later. Remember to bring all of this new vocabulary, all these new expressions to your life. So how do you do it? You take the new words, take the new expressions, and make sentences. Or maybe you use these social media to write sentences or posts using the words. You don't have to post them, okay? Just write so that you practice them, okay? When you bring this vocabulary to your life, it makes things easier for you to remember how to use, when to use, because you have examples and you are using them in your life. So it makes things much easier for you to remember them. Yeah, I think that's it, right? Let's just recap what I said. If you don't have the time, what do you have to do? Listen to something in the car. Find time, okay? You don't have time to sit down and stop. Find some time for you to do it. Find some time for you to listen to something in a way that you connect these two things that you like. For example, driving. If you like driving, you're driving and listening to something and improving your vocabulary, your skills. When you are doing things at home, cleaning the house, doing the dishes, cooking, it's good too. If you have the time, sit down, take notes, listen. Okay, listen, active listening. Practice your active listening. How? Sit down, take notes, do things like that. All right. Can you think of any other ways to do it? These are the ones I brought for us today. Ways for you to really pay attention to things. Obviously, the podcasts are not the only way for you to practice your listening skills. That's obvious. You can listen to music too. You can watch movies. You can listen to the radio in English. There is a website. You can choose the region in the world. I don't know if it's in the world or only in the US, but you can choose the region, and you can practice the listening to people from that region. So you can listen to people from New York, and you can also listen to people from Texas, for example. That's a very good way for you to get in touch with different accents, with different kinds of people speaking, different ways, different everything. It's really nice for you to listen to that. And it's not a podcast, it's the news, it's the radio. So not news, just the radio. What other ways can you think about so that you can practice your listening skills? There's a dog here right now. She wants attention. What other ways can you think of so that you can practice your listening skills? Oh, she left. What other ways can you think of? Drop a comment. Tell me how you like to practice your listening skills. Remember, I'm not talking about your reading skills, okay? When you are watching something and reading it, you are practicing your reading skills, not your listening skills, okay? So drop a comment and let me know if you like to practice your listening skills, listening to something, how you like to do it, okay? I will be really happy to see how you do it. Bye. Have an awesome day.